14 actual, 15, 16, and I'm looking at those numbers.
Okay.
That is actual money that we spent?
And as far as design and engineering.
Right, but I mean, we spent that. That was not,
Right.
that
Yes.
is not reimbursable money. That is.
Oh,
money
it
that we
is.
sold.
It's
Some of it
80-22.
involves reimbursement, yes.
I need a bigger spreadsheet that's got all those numbers on it, because this is just, I'm not sure that helpful to me, because I would need to know which one of these are we gonna possibly get some back, and that kind of thing, or say, on the railroad, say 20%, well, okay, that first one, the Dogwood Drive, that's 2 million, so that 20% of that's around 400,000. So do we have to pay Tech and Wood and all of those guys that first, that our money, and then we get that back?
Yes, everything's 80-20, design, right-of-way, construction, all of it's 80-20.
Well, it's 80-20 reimbursable.
And
Right.
that's
We don't get the
why,
grant money ahead of time.
Right,
It's
We
on the
get it.
end.
right,
but
that's why.
it's still out of the reserves. I mean, it's money gone, the 20% is
What we
money
do is
gone.
we time it to where the projects, where we know that we can get that reimbursement back. So he does a great job of making sure that the bills and the invoices aren't due before we get the reimbursement.
It's not all billed at one time, it's as the project goes on. So I won't bill for like $200,000 at one time. That'll be over a period of time, monthly.
So as I look at on that top line, that Dogwood, as I look at 25,000, 40,000, and 23,000, that has already been spent.
Correct.
So that 2 million too, was that the amount of the original grant?
No, that's the construction, for the construction amount.
That's how much the total project cost is going to be.
Right.
Okay, so
Right, see, the total project cost involves soft cost, which is your design, study, engineering, and then there's hard construction. So it's busted up into pieces, and we budget for it as the project flows.
Right. And we try to budget, we actually don't know how much design's gonna cost. We really don't know how much construction is gonna cost, because you get ready to go to construction, you bid it out, you don't know what the bids are gonna be. It could be less than that, it could be more than that. So it's really a moving target at all times. But you pretty much, like railroad's 100%, and it has the 150,000 that we had talked about. The Dogwood, you have it's an 80-20. Loop Road's 80-20. North Central Study Phase 2 is 80-20. And then your CDBG's 100%, and your LMIG is a match plus 30. So it's a moving target usually.
well, I guess, I'm still confused, and I probably will talk to you and
Sure.
Tony at length about this later, but as I look at the request for 17-18 on the top line again, 2,200,000, I don't know, and I look at the previous years, that how much of that has been spent, or do I take 2,200,000 and add all of those amounts to it to say, well, that was the amount of the grant, and we've paid this as part of the 20% we paid.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
I
can
just,
get with you and show you.
I just don't know how
You
useful
can
that $10
add,
million
you can add
is.
it up for you by project.
Right. We just have to show the whole amount for accounting purposes. That's just something we have to do.
And it's gonna show on the budget worksheet, spreadsheet, as income, because for this expenditure, it's gonna show the grant proceeds and the income.
Right.
In the spreadsheet.
We show the grant proceeds as a rev.
The 2 million, top line, 2,200,000 is going to be income.
80%.
80% of that amount is
Correct.
revenue.
Even though we don't know we're going to get it.
Well,
We're gonna get it.
But no, it's just a matter of when it's gonna get
Okay,
done.
but not necessarily
Either this year or
17-18.
next year.
Yeah.
Right, we've completed, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, we've completed 5 of these federal grants, and we've been reimbursed 100% on all of them. So far,
100%
so
would be
good.
80%.
Right.
Right.
As long as we don't get that last contractor, we'll be okay.
Castro, I'll never forget his name.
These guys are on top of it, they do a great job of
I
managing these
understand that, I
cash
just got to
flows.
understand the math of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So can we talk about the MARTA station improvements? I guess what was it, and
You wanna go through
that's
that?
$300,000.
That was an old grant, that was the funds,
So the canopy zone?
can't recall the name of them.
You know, the shelters,
Yeah.
the bus shelters?
Yeah, that's an old one,
Okay,
so that's not gonna be in there.
okay, so that's just
So
something
those
that
gonna
just.
come out.
Yeah, we're gonna
Right.
switch more, we're gonna look at, what you're gonna start seeing now is that we have T-Splost, is it's gonna start emerging in the capital budget, you know, more and more. This year is kind of loose because we're just starting up, but you'll see it as time goes.
And that's another thing, speaking of the T-Splosh, that's transportation related. All these projects have been in the TIP and the STIP, which is the Transportation Improvement Program. They've been in there for 4 or 5 years. Some of these projects take longer than others. But basically, that's anything transportation related. T-Splosh is transportation related. So I think at one time Josh talked about we need to leverage our T-Splosh funds. Well,
Yeah.
this railroad project, we're getting drainage, curb and gutter, and we're getting asphalt. Now, if you didn't have this grant, you're gonna have to pay 100% to get Portia Drive to get that, you know, paid.
Spur, yeah.
Right, with this grant now, you don't, you're only paying, just the 20%. So we're kind of leveraging that now, so the T-Splosh, it's a good thing. And so these grants are basically, and that's what we're doing, is leveraging this T-Splosh money.
So, and then I know that we talked about before the CBDG grant.
Community Development Block Grant.
Yes.
Correct.
And I see that we've gotten up to, what, $100,000 from 37 last year. Why is that? and How do we go up so high?
Why did we get 100?
Yeah,
Well, they've increased it, plus we're gonna have a little bit more than that, because we have some carryover. We were under budget on the Hoyt Smith floor, if you remember.
okay,
So we've got some carryover from there. They have been going on a 3-year cycle. Now they're going to a 1-year cycle. I just had a meeting with them last week. So we'll have, and actually in the next agenda in June, they're looking to re-up that 3-year agreement to continue to get funds through them. Because you can go out and get them on your own, but you're competitive with the whole state, and you may not get anything. You could get more, but you could get nothing. So
okay,
that'll be coming up on the next one, but it's 100% CDBG.
okay.
We keep in touch with them, we keep asking every time we think there's extra out there, we're there with our hand out.
Yeah, because I know I go to Savannah, and you watch these like presentations on how they do like these huge makeovers, and they buy a neighborhood that's blighted, or they buy an apartment that's blighted, and completely flip it and sell it to a developer for new houses and stuff like that. How do we get that?
Well, actually, it's listed under here, sidewalks, but we programmed that money to demolition. If you recall, we changed that. So that is demo money, and I'm gonna get with the chief. Now, one of the things that, in my meeting I had with the CDBG folks, is they're saying now is, it's not just enough to demo something, you have to come back now with a plan as to what's gonna go there. Multi-family, something like that. So you're gonna hear a lot more of that coming out.
Okay.
But we do have that demo money sitting there, so.
So demo for code enforcement issues?
Right.
Correct.
A house that got all the way through the
Abatement
enforcement
process.
abatement process. Now what do you do with it? There's funds available to augment what he can do, and we're gonna partner to get that taken care of.
Through CBDG?
Correct.
Okay, okay.
If it's eligible, because the other thing is, CDBG money only can be used in income eligible areas.
Low to moderate income.
Wouldn't that be us? The whole city?
Some areas,
There are some that excluded, but
yeah, some areas of the city.
Okay. Right around Portia, Delta,
Yeah.
right there specifically.
Don't laugh, I've seen some waterfront communities have some eligible areas, it's crazy. All right, are we ready there?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Well, again, we've already kind of mentioned T-Splosh, but we'll be back with a full-blown presentation in August. We're drilling into a lot of engineering details, a lot of project details, a lot of grant details, trying to understand the numbers. I truly can appreciate Diane's question, because, you know, it is confusing unless you spend a lot of time getting your arms around it. We're going to do that. We're going to come back with a full-blown presentation on how we're going to get really moving with T-Splosh.
Do you think that's gonna be in which meeting? First of the month,
Probably the
second?
second one, if I were to guess at this
Okay.
point, certainly. It depends on how far the staff gets with our effort. Okay, going to Recreation Department. This is Todd Nichols. Again, we're basically staying level here. No net change in staffing. We're down just a little bit in terms of expenses. Part of the thing we worked on was the hat restructuring because a portion of the funds can be used for facilities that DCA said were eligible. We have vetted this with our legal team thoroughly, and we have presented a budget that is in line with all of that. And Tim has all those, and Todd have all those gory details if you want to get into that. Basically, this budget maintains our staffing levels and then continues our participant recreation programs at a similar level. Questions?
What are you cutting, Todd? For 15%.
Well,
Where's it coming
we've already been cutting for years, so we're pretty much either programs or personnel where we're at now. So we did cut out the adult men's softball program, but I think we may have found a intriguing way of keeping it, per se. We'll see how that works, in the fall.
There's some kind of sponsorship or something.
Yes, and having the teams pay the umpires cash on spot before the games, so it wouldn't go through our general fund. We've also cut our soccer program.
They'll claim it as taxable income, I'm sure.
I'm sure they will.
No, but you cut the soccer?
Yes, ma'am, we cut the soccer program. We took the line item out, which is the coach's reimbursement line item for our football program. We had to cut that loose. We also had to cut, fortunately, a movie night. The one we cut was in April. And we also had to cut a downtown live. And the one we had to cut there was in August. So right now with us, whenever we have to have some reduction in our budget, it's either personnel or programs.
No place else to cut it.
So with the reduction in events and stuff, that's gonna free up other people's time, right? Because if you get rid of soccer, you get rid of men's baseball, or men's softball, and get rid of a movie night and a downtown live, that should free up somebody somewhere for something, right?
Well, it's 3 different people that each one of those things fell up under. So the men's softball was something that ran late at night, kind of caused some issues with the neighbors across the street with some of the balls going across the street. So we did have to let go of that, and that freed up,
That was
late
under
night.
Ray, right?
No, that was under Wayne.
Okay, that's under
Yeah,
Ray.
so that alleviated a late night, a late Thursday night.
But it's only one night, so the
Yeah.
rest of his duties remain.
Right, but also there's some duties of getting it together, collecting monies and stuff like that, right?
Of course, but that, again, that may not go away. It may go away here on the budget side, but it may not go away as a total loss of a program. But the soccer program, it was one of our smaller ones in our in participation, and numbers. So that was kind of being ran at the same time we was running baseball, so it was ran simultaneously. There would be games going on at the baseball field, but there would also be games going on football field, for soccer, or they would be playing away. So there's really no time lost there. And of course, with our special events, we did have a movie night. Of course, that would be going on a Friday night, so that instead of paying overtime and staying late, there would be no overtime on that Friday night. And as far as the downtown live, we did have to cut it, but you know, we're in discussions with, a certain, entity to maybe sponsor that for us, so we'll be able to keep it. You know, so a lot of these things that we cut, we did cut budget side, you know,
Well, we might be able to find
but
ways
we're
to fund it.
working diligently to keep it because we don't want to have a loss of service.
Right. I appreciate that.
Doesn't the downtown lot put you into overtime as well?
Yes, sir, it does. Yes, sir, it does.
Okay.
Pretty much, not only for my department, but Lee's department as well, and police and fire.
Yeah, it actually impacts 2 or 3 different departments, and so it's kind of more of a reduction in overtime. They still have, you know, a lot of other duties to do, so really the impact is to the reduction in overtime opportunities for the staff or cost to the city.
That's an eerie quietness that you guys got going. I'm sorry, but you know, we have to stay afloat.
Go on something you mentioned, Todd, and I was talking to somebody that I know through the Chamber of Commerce, and I certainly don't want to turn this into, you know, NASCAR where there's advertising on every single thing that goes by. But, you know, as far as looking for sponsors for, you know, a downtown live or a movie night or something like that, I don't know how you guys feel about it. This was a company that is a member of the chamber and said that they would maybe want to sponsor one of the jumpy houses at Happy Days or something like that, and could put up, you know, sponsored by the company, maybe have a table up there with their stuff on it. And I said, because that way they benefit from all the crowds that are going to be at Happy Days, and we would benefit from the cost reduction. Does anybody feel that that's horrible or something that we might want to do?
I think it's a great idea.
Uh-huh.
You know, I just went to the College Football Hall of Fame, and it's very interesting. Every little bit of that museum is sponsored. Yeah, so it's like the AT&T tunnel. It's like this little tunnel that goes through, and then sponsored by AT&T. Like every little thing that could be sponsored was sponsored, and you know, I guess that's the way that things are going now.
Yeah.
So if we need to figure out a way that we can get sponsorships and.
I agree, I mean, just like our father-daughter dance, that we put on, it's completely paid for by sponsors. You know, Chick-fil-A actually jumped in last year, and Tri-Cities Church, you know, also is a huge sponsor of it. So those two entities alone carry.
I'm working on some ideas to try to get you some sponsors for the new scoreboards that are needed at the ball field too.
Great.
I'm kicking that around. So
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, fireworks and
The biggest,
you got some real estate, you can put somebody's logo on, that's what I'm thinking.
stuff. Yeah,
the
yeah.
biggest cut that I really felt terrible about making in this department was the van. It's deplorable, it's old, it carries youth and seniors, and we need to do better, but unfortunately, we didn't have the funds this year, and so that's something that's gonna keep coming up, and something we'll need to get to at some point.
What year is the van?
Old Blue, it's 2000, I believe.
2000 or 2001?
You know, it's a POS when you have a name for it. Old Blue, especially like the name like that. Hey,
It's not fresh.
that's Old Blue.
It just came out, sorry about that. That's,
Hey, you know, it's all right.
yeah.
Can you do leases for events like that legally in terms of insuring? It just seems like first, I don't know how many times you use it, but would that be cheaper?
Well, we have been doing that these past couple of years. These past 3 or 4 years, we've been leasing from Enterprise. You know, so they give us a good rate, you know, on the 12 passenger van, 15 passenger van. You know, so that's what we've been using, you know, so.
But it's the coordination of it, the timing of it, the availability of it, and, you know, whether they have something available that meets our needs and when we need it, and all of those issues that kind of make it difficult.
So we can put their logo on the advertisements for these excursions? Let them be a corporate sponsor.
Yeah, sponsored by Enterprise.
Yeah, says it on their vans.
And then they make you pay.
We can certainly change our model and our approach towards gearing it towards more of that sponsorship.
So we have started that, we just took the special events last year, so, we have, been looking at that, and we started last year with, implementation, and, I think it's going well, and so, the ideas that you have and some of the, people that you know, feel free, feel free. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Todd, for everything you do
Thank
over
you.
there at that rec center. Keeping them kids out of trouble.
Out the streets.
What it's about.
It only helps me, it helps these guys as well.
Helps all of us in here, all the citizens.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else for Todd? Finance.
Okay, for the finance department, we are recommending the increase of one FTE here. Apparently, we have been paying a temp agency for a position, and we have done an evaluation and feel like that if we convert that position to full-time, it will save money. So what is the savings, about 30 grand?
About 30,000.
Okay, so 30 grand a year to save there. Yes, we pick up the FTE, but the function is needed to comply with the audit standards. And so that's our recommendation on this, and Tim is here to answer any other questions you may have.
So there's a $30,000 savings, but I see like a $50,000 change. What are the other changes?
Me?
Reduction?
Before the budget, before last year's budget, it probably did not have the assistant finance director in there, so that's me.
Okay.
Sorry.
I thought you were saying you were gonna cut your pay to help.
No, he's got sponsor.
You're so sweet.
He's got sponsor the fancy.
I'm generous, but
I
We'll
did that
put
on
your
the
name
phone.
over the building department.
Yeah.
Water sewer biller.
Yeah. We're also looking at some other things. I think we had a great conversation with Josh yesterday about some ideas on billing that we're going to be doing. So Tim, you want to kind of highlight what some of those things could be to increase
Well,
the efficiency?
one of the things for efficiencies that will affect the basically our entire practice, is I'd already had a meeting scheduled to look into a different model for our tax billing and collections and utility collections, so that we may be able to streamline and maybe centralize our collection process that also will allow for e-pay, automatic drafts, et cetera, that will probably be at a lower cost point than some of the credit card payments that we're actually paying now. I had that meeting scheduled today. I did have that meeting, and it looks fairly favorable. Once we get more information, tighten it down, we'll come back to council. But if so, we'd probably like to implement it by August of this upcoming year, so be ready to go for both ongoing utilities and for tax.
So it'll be on the software side.
Yes, sir.
So that's August 17th?
Yes,
August 18th?
2 months, 2 months from now.
Oh, wow, okay.
A couple of the other things I'd like to point out, there's been a lot of discussion about the auditor and so forth, and the RFP, that's out. RFP's online.
RFP for an auditor?
Yep.
Excellent.
It's on the website, and on May 16th. When's the closing date? June?
Closing date is the 8th of June. I do know of at least 2 to 3 companies that will be bidding on it.
So bids coming soon, we'll see how that shakes out. That process is underway. The other thing is we appreciate the council's assistance. This is something Jennifer kind of jumps in and helps us with the insurance across the city, and we were able to save quite a bit of money in how we restructured some of these things through the competitive process. So that helped us achieve some reductions, and then of course, some of the other things we've been talking about.
So with that automatic draft, is that like for water bills, like we sort of talked about the other day?
It would be for utility, you'd be able to set up for utility bills, yes.
Okay. So all those people out there that get your water turned off because you forgot to pay the water bill, like this guy?
And you don't want to pay the convenience fee.
Yeah, well, I just forget,
I know, I'm the same way.
I'll put it in my phone and I'll just forget. my wife hops in the shower. Not good.
That's his name is done.
Not good.
All right, other questions? Okay, move on. Economic development, again, no net change here. This was part of the budget that had to be moved out of hat, large pieces of this. Those expenditures were all rolled from the old 290 fund, if you recall that, under hat into the general fund. And this is the net impact. It looks like that the budget went way up, but basically what it is that pieces were rolled in from other places, and the total econ budget is down just a bit.
Where do you see, how do you know that the overall econ budget is down?
Okay, we, see, Tim, you want to walk them through this? This one is all over the board. Okay.
To best go through that, we'll have to give you a separate set of schedules for that, because what we had to do is take both what was budgeted for 290 of last year and in half, so what was budgeted for half last year, and economic development this year, add those two together, and then compare that to what we're showing right now. And that's how we're showing that we took in approximately $700,000 worth of cost to the general fund.
And what is economic development? Who's in there? What does that entail?
That's.
And is this number of people 3.5 or 3 to 5 people?
No, it's 3.5. The 0.5 is Mr. Bird. Oh, half of me. Okay, all right. So half of my salary, and then Adrian, Bianca, and oh yeah, and then of course we're changing the position. We just advertised it, so we're in the process of making the selection of the Main Street position. So.
And then Main Street decreased by 5,000, no, by 15,000.
15.
So what does that entail, and what does that affect with the Main Street Board?
It's just the allocation that was provided by the city to the board to do projects,
Okay,
basically.
so basically we're just cutting the board. Okay.
But the economic development is coming out of general fund completely?
Yes, it's now 100% in the general fund, whereas before it was kind of a shared cost, and it is no longer a shared cost.
Then I didn't understand why it was important that only 50% of you is here. Where's the other 50% of you?
In the finance department.
So
Why does that matter?
does it?
It's just how the budget was done when I got here.
Is there any reason why he couldn't be all in administration instead of finance or economic development? Isn't that
It's
an
all coming out of the
administration?
same thing, right?
Yes.
You don't have administration?
You either have finance or city clerk. That, we don't have just the admin.
Those are the cost centers that the budget built around when I got here, and I haven't changed those.
Because before, half of your pay was coming out of HAT.
Correct.
And then why does,
So no cities use an administrative fund or for the staff, or, I don't understand. It just seems odd that city managers, that's the common practice, of where to put a city manager's salary is in finance and economic
It's
development.
got to be put somewhere.
Well, I understand that,
That's
but
where
what's
they-
common practice?
That's where it was when I got here, so I haven't.
But what's
Sometimes that's
common
not the
practice?
best reason, because they've always done it that way. I kind of like to say.
Well, we
it's
approve the
logical.
budget every year, guys,
I
so
know.
if we have a
Well,
problem.
I was just curious if there's a category that.
well, because before it actually made sense, because half of it came out of HAT, you know,
Right.
so it made sense then. Now, why is it? Just because it was just the way it's been?
I was just following the formula, unless you want to change it, so.
I think it's kind of weird. How hard would it be to change it?
Have an admin.
Or not, or just put them all in one department. I don't care which department it is.
It's not horribly hard to add a new department. I mean, that they're, again, different cities, different municipalities do it differently. I've seen one, I mean, I came from one that had a city manager, city administrator department. It's not a huge deal.
Well, it's clear to me. And if it doesn't affect how we
It's not gonna be
the
a
money,
crisis
but then
to
let's
reach
just
out.
put a category in for clarity.
Okay?
Then you can start singing all of me instead of half of me.
Okay.
Okay.
So does that push back anything, any of the deadlines?
No, it doesn't, no, I mean, the numbers, all the numbers
Just
are.
move the numbers
The
around.
Just shuffle.
net numbers are going to be the same. We probably won't have this done until, it'll be done before the next presentation.
Okay.
And so it'll be done in the sheets, that's not a huge deal.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Anything else? Liz?
Or Edna.
Oh, you want- okay.
So why is there no numbers for 15, okay, because hotel, motel. But the why 14?
Sorry.
Why is there money in 14, financial year 14, not 15 and 16? Under economic development.
Under
It's right there,
economic
you can see it on
development.
your screen,
The far left.
Wants to know why there's a fiscal year 14.
but not in 15, 16.
It wasn't
Chart
coming out,
makers?
yeah, it wasn't coming out of Pat yet in 14.
Okay.
So it wasn't coming out of the 290 fund. until
Apparently, there was
fiscal
some sort of budgetary change before I got here. Okay, I got here in 15. Okay, so I don't know how they did it then.
So 2014,
We had half done.
we had
They
had,
had that, but then we weren't pulling the economic development leg out of that at that time.
okay. How did that happen?
I don't remember the specifics, we had to dig back and look, I don't remember.
I'm more concerned about this.
Yeah. So with the 15,000 taken out of Main Street Board, what does that take away? Does that take away the planters and the watering?
Can I, actually, Main Street's not 15,000 taken out. If you look at the Main Street, there was one line item in there, and that was for sharing our stories, for $35,000. And so.
It was a grant.
Right, it's a grant. And so you actually have, there was nothing else in Main Street under general fund. Everything else was out of the hat side before. So all
Okay.
this is real expenditure. So nothing, we didn't lose anything.
Okay, okay. So just the 35 was the sharing our stories?
Yeah, part of it was match, yeah.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Which that project's moving forward, is wrapping up. All the contracts are signed, everything's rolling.
Excellent, that's gonna be an awesome project. It's gonna be beautiful. I'm very excited. Okay.
Okay, planning and development, this is our contract planner. That's also under that group, there's funds in the budget for that. Administration department, that's mainly your, the city clerk